Welcome to the 4 Mile Circus podcast. 4 Mile Circus is a podcast by 4 Mile Circus, a full cycle media services company in Brooklyn, New York. My name is Sean Mannion, and I have a co-host.
Hi,
What's your name, co-host?
Nicole.
Okay, I'm going to call you co-host.
Okay. That's
and
cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
It's
cool to be a
easygoing-
co-host.
Yeah, I'm into it. Feeling it.
Exactly. On this show, we talk to media makers, artists, and other cool people about how they make what they make. Why? How do they fund it? How do they share it? How do they get it out into the world? We've talked to a lot of great people, and I'm not going to name any of them because people should just listen, shouldn't they? Co-host.
Yeah, absolutely. Subscribe, listen, leave a review.
Exactly. 4milecircus.com, 4 Mile Circus on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and whatever else.
Every podcast platform. iTunes, Stitcher,
Google Play.
Google Play.
It's not really iTunes anymore. Apparently, it's Apple Podcasts.
I don't want to think about that. I'm not respecting that. No.
Yeah, it's just
I don't
that's
care.
what it is now.
I don't care.
This is the new normal.
I don't care.
So today, we have another filmmaker on. Did you know this co-host?
I did, actually. We were just chatting.
Were you just chatting?
We were just chatting right before you turned on the Zoom.
Once I hit record, I forget everything that happened before.
That's disconcerting, but
that's why I have notes.
Predictable.
Yeah. So today we're talking with Mateo Marquez. He's a New York City based filmmaker whose recent projects include The Blood in Our Veins and The Invaders. I've seen his work at our unofficial third host, Christina Reyes' IndieWorks film series, where he won the coveted Silver Whiskers Award for The Blood in Our Veins.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
And also the Golden Whiskers.
Oh, that's right. You won the Golden Whiskers for the year, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is the voice of Mateo.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. So, why don't you let's start off. Please tell us a little bit about our listeners, a little about who you are and what kind of films you make and what you've got going on.
Well, I'm a New York City native. I was born and raised in Queens. I went to Hunter College, and right now I'm working in post-production at a company called Light Iron. The films I like to make mostly are about people who I feel are underrepresented in films, and I like to push that envelope even more so and have a lot of my characters isolated from either the world or help in whatever situation they find themselves in.
The isolation is interesting, I think, particularly in terms of the two of your films that I've seen, The Blood in Our Veins and The Invaders, are the isolation, I think, is apparent, but in very different ways. In The Invaders, there's one
No
character for
spoilers.
most of it.
No spoilers.
Well, that's spoiling.
Okay, I'm just warning you. I'm warning you.
I'm not,
Sometimes you're bad
character.
about that. I'm just warning you.
There's a character.
Yes, there's
a character in The Invaders.
Spoiler
Yes.
alert.
And this person is alone.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
That is the whole plot.
It's kind of a boring movie, but
It's provocative.
Solitude is important. That was a bad Herzog. But then in The Blood in Our Veins, I think there's a different kind of isolation related to how circumstance, how financial circumstance, how cultural circumstance sort of isolates the characters in a way. Or at least that was my interpretation of it. Is that sort of what you're going for? Is something like that in that film?
No, without a doubt. I think, especially since the family in The Blood in Our Veins is predominantly Hispanic, and there's always this shift between speaking Spanish at home and trying to communicate with the rest of New York City. That for the most part, everyone's supposed to speak English, and if you don't speak English, then you're considered ostracized in some kind of way. And then specifically in their predicament in the film, they don't have access to the healthcare needs that normal citizens with either government funded healthcare or private healthcare would have. So in that way, they're isolated from different options in order to solve their problems.
And I feel like, in a sense, kind of what the protagonist's struggle in that film is also he feels sometimes isolated even from his family in some ways, like the way he's trying to encourage his mom to go to the doctor and she doesn't want to for very understandable reasons. But you can see the frustration that makes him feel about like, come on, just do the thing that's going to help you. And when he retreats to be with kind of like his friends, like that's in a way you could look at that as a kind of isolation from the people that he generally feels most literally at home with. Like even then that gets like ruptured or challenged a little bit in the film, which is part of what makes it for me so emotionally affecting, because you're just like, you're rooting for this family, you're rooting for this guy
Right.
and his mom, and it's such a believable, realistic kind of conflict that happens between parents and children in a lot of circumstances with particular stakes in this particular thing. And I loved that you touched on like the language thing, because one of the things I liked about it is how subtly like he speaks English with his friends,
Right. Right.
even though you get that they know Spanish, but they're speaking English. And
Right.
that's what they do there. And I like that you didn't explain it, you didn't point at it. It's just a thing that's there. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful movie. Everybody listening should seek that out.
It's a very New Yorker thing, I think. I have a lot of friends, not just that speak Spanish, but can speak Polish or can speak, I don't know, Filipino or whatever. And and they just switch on and off. They could be talking to their parents and then they'll talk to me, and then it's just like a automatic switch. It's not something that they have to think about. It is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's just something that's very intrinsic about New York City, considering that, I mean, just in Queens alone, there's something like thousands of languages being spoken at once. So I wanted to capture that essence into the film. That's why we chose a lot of like vistas that were indicative of Jackson Heights and Corona and Woodside, all very inundated with different groups of people from different parts of the world. And I also wanted to try to isolate the character in the sense that he's not only trying to manage what he does with his family, but he's also trying to manage, his own personal life with his friends. I mean, that's kind of already a given with many teen films, or just being a teenager. You're always trying to do that, but even push the thing more is that he's also, probably most likely someone who was brought here when he was a lot younger without his consent for obvious reasons. And he's trying to do what he feels is right because that's what this country does. Like, you have to go, if you're sick, you go to the doctor. Not like perhaps in other countries where it's not so common to go to the doctor because of whatever circumstances that country may have. So it's just like two cultural clashes in one character.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask another question, Sean?
I guess you are the co-host.
How did you cast this movie? I liked your lead a lot. I thought how did you choose to and the other roles as well, I thought were filled really by, none of these characters get that much screen time, and the actors all were able to convey a depth of experience and characterization very quickly. And it does not feel like a little short film with, like where the acting sometimes, people are getting whatever actors they can, and sometimes it's their friends, and sometimes their friends aren't like the best person for the role. And this was very the performances were very polished and deep, and I liked them a lot. And I'm wondering how you cast those roles.
Well, first we had to figure out if we could find enough people, like a big enough pool of actors that would be able to speak Spanish, a certain kind of Spanish. We had to try to find different actors that could sort of flatten their dialect to make it believable that all the characters came from the same place. That was extremely important. And then the other thing we were looking for is a look, and look in terms in the eyes. And I thought that Stephen, who played the son, and Lara, who played the mother, really carried themselves deeply in their eyes, and I think some of the better moments, if not the best moments of the film, are when you see them and they don't actually say anything at all. And so that's what we were looking for.
Absolutely. Which, yeah, I think that all worked out really well. Good job on that. That kind of connects to the Invaders in a way, in terms of
In
the
terms of which,
in terms
which
of
question do you want to ask, Nicole? You don't look at me to ask the question before you ask the question.
well, earlier we were talking about isolation, so we could talk about that, but also the performance of the lead in the Invaders. I think the nonverbal acting is key.
Yes, very key.
And works very well in a film that has a very different mood. You know, Sean and I are both very into horror films. That's
Right.
a large chunk of what we write and direct and produce, and so The Invaders has more in common with that sort of style than The Blood in Our Veins, and the lead actor is fantastic and conveys a lot and makes you care
Right.
without, you know, there's not exposition in that film, which is one of the things I like about it so much. There's no like, here's what's going on, here's this character's like whole life story, and this is, you know, there's a lot unexplained, which I like, because you give the audience some credit to like follow along and care and figure out what's going on or draw their own conclusions or whatever without, you know, spoon feeding them how they're supposed to be reacting to anything. That's not a question.
Yeah, you just like didn't.
I did that jerk at a like film festival Q&A thing, didn't I, Sean?
I just call
This
it
isn't
the
really
Nicole maneuver.
Thanks.
Just kidding.
Thanks.
Okay, so an actual question. So Nicole really liked your actress and your aesthetic for The Invaders.
I
think
did.
is the
Yeah.
Thank you.
is the short version of that.
Yeah.
But just sort of connect between the two, because The Invaders, you recently on Seed and Spark, you crowdfunded for the festival run.
There you go.
And the Blood in Our Veins, you already did the festival run, as we mentioned, with Congested Cats, Indie Works. What was the experience of taking Blood in Our Veins on that festival route? I know it screened at other festivals. I mentioned Congested Cat just because, you know, and Indie Works just because, like, we're connected to that. But what was your experience with the festival route with that, and how did that inform how you approached, or how you are currently approaching, The Invaders?
Well, the Blood and Veins, that festival one was the first one I've ever done, so it was just a trial by fire, really. One thing right off the bat that I noticed was the length. The Blood in Our Veins is 18 minutes with credits, and unfortunately, a lot of festivals don't like anything more than 10 minutes, unless it's
Right.
superb or it has some top cast in it.
Yeah.
So with The Invaders, I tried to cut down on the dialogue and just keep it to the visuals and try to see if I could tell a story that was both unique and profound at the same time. We've started our festival submissions now, so we're still in the process of waiting to find out where it is that our film falls into the categories of level of festival. But I think that was probably the biggest what's the word, epiphany of the whole festival run, was that it's probably best to keep it as short as possible while not compromising the story. Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, that definitely tracks with my experience, and I think you're not as
Yeah.
into submitting to festivals as
No, I'm weird about it.
you're a curmudgeon.
I'll do a few, and then I'm just like, but I just want more people. I just want to put it online. I just want people to see it. Yeah, I'm just weird about it. Also, for when I was doing a lot of things when I might have submitted to festivals, I was like, $50 is a lot.
Yeah.
So, or $20 was a lot, and it's still a lot now. But like at the time, I was like, I don't know if my weird little thing is going to get into anything anyway. So I don't know if I want to spend the money.
Are you I'm
ahead.
jumping in again with an actual question.
We'll see.
In terms of like shifting festival strategy, in
Right.
addition to the length thing, in terms of the formal differences between the two films, besides length, in terms of genre affiliation, is that shifting at all? Are you trying to get the Invaders into some genre film festivals and that sort of thing, or have you gotten any like annoying responses from people who are like, "Oh, I wish this was another straight family drama like the one before," because it's different,
Right. As of right now, no. Our festival. Well, I hope that we do get into genre festivals, and we probably will submit. The way that my producers and I have sort of planned out everything, we'll just start from the top and trickle down and see where it sort of falls. And then once we figure out like our little niche of festivals, like the range and level of it, then we'll start submitting around there and really focus our attention on submitting to those kinds of festivals.
Makes sense.
Just because some of the bigger festivals have like premiere release things that they want to be the first ones to do it. So plus everyone wants to go to those big festivals, even though it's the odds are always against you.
But if you get in, then it's definitely worth it. And, I mean, like, I'm going to cross my fingers for you because I know those odds they're not good odds, but you also do have a really strong film that has very high production qualities and is very polished and timely. And
Unfortunately, yes.
yeah, unfortunately, timely. It may help your odds in festivals some because people are like, oh, this is more resonant with me because before maybe I wouldn't have cared, but now this reminds me of something. So
Right.
maybe that'll, not that, it still would be better if it was not currently particularly resonant, but I hope it gets in places.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking at me.
No, I'm listening.
Cool.
Sometimes we look at people when we listen, Nicole, in
What?
order to focus our attention.
I don't like looking at people. I don't understand. Makes me uncomfortable.
Okay then.
You have questions, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we do tend to focus on two specific aspects of being an artist. One of them being promotion. It's a pain.
Right.
It's a lot. Doing festival runs is definitely part of it. And,
Right.
And racking up the laurels. But how do you go about it? Do you like hand out flyers on the street, social media, gathering email lists? How do you go about getting people to watch what you got?
Social media and a lot of word of mouth, a lot of sharing on Facebook and things like that, and also a lot of festivals themselves, not just for the film that you have it in the festival for, but also for the next project that you want to do, and you try to like rack up, connections through that. But I think social media is definitely the strongest one at this point in time. For the Invaders in particular, we've tried to keep a low profile on it, just because it's so short, and there's not much time in the film where the ending is revealed, and it sort of gives the whole weight of the film. So we've sort of just tried to find a balance where we show enough of the film, the process, the behind the scenes, and things like that on social media, but also try to, not give away anything. For this particular project, since it does deal with a lot of, a character who is of Muslim faith, we've reached out to a lot of organizations that deal particularly with Muslim demographics and see if they're willing to help promote us. And we actually did get an article written for us by Muslim, which is a magazine blog out in England.
Oh, cool.
And it got something like 1.7 thousand views.
Nice.
So things like that for this particular project, because of the subject matter and of the sort of the demographic that we're trying to not only hit, but trying to start a dialogue potentially.
How do you approach promotion on social media for a project like that? Because I was thinking about this because it is, it's about 7 minutes long, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to be careful on this podcast to not give anything away, but also make it clear, like that, I want to intrigue people. I want people to want to see this film. How do you do that? How do you like? How much and what do you give? Do you have like a little like what's your tagline or log line or elevator pitch, any of that type stuff? What do you tell people to not shoot your whole load, but give them a sense of what they're in for with this film?
Well, I like to tell people that it's a film about a monster chasing this girl.
Nice.
And it really
Nice.
is. It's just
Yeah.
what exactly is the monster and what is exactly does it want to do to this girl is what the film is about. And I think horror films are a little bit easier to sort of show off in very short snippets because all you have to do is like bring it to that very tense moment where something is looming or something is behind the door, and you've already sort of hooked your audience into asking what is it that is behind that door, or what is coming for this person, or so forth. And I'm actually working with my friend who is a trailer editor out in Los Angeles. He does like trailer editing as his profession, and he's putting together a trailer, and it's around 30 seconds long. It's from the cut we have right now. It's very, very, very good, and it very fast, and doesn't reveal too much, but it does hype the anticipation of this force that's coming after this girl.
Yeah, you can convey the mood without conveying specifics of the plot and story.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And mood for horror films is, I think, exactly what you should be going for. It's a little bit easier than a drama because a drama can have all different kinds of moods. It can have, romance. It can have friendship and laughter and things like that all throughout the film. Horror, on the other hand, is always mainly just about like either creeping you out or getting you full on scared. Anything else, any thematic elements that come after that, are just sort of have to be experienced by the actual film.
Interesting. Yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
To me.
Glad it makes sense to you. I just really like awkward silences.
Great. I'm sure our audience really likes them too.
We don't have an audience.
Yeah, don't say that when the guest is still
He's
here.
he's been here for like 20 minutes, so he's already committed. What's he gonna do? Leave? Come on.
He could.
He could.
He could.
Especially because we're talking about him in the third person.
Yeah,
He's
we
not
couldn't
here.
blame him, could we?
I also talk about myself in the third person, so it's fine.
perfect. All right, sweet.
That's
we did
great.
that to make
You're
you
in good
comfortable.
company. You're in good company. So which platform do you find most useful? Like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon?
Ooh, Mastodon.
yeah,
Deep
you like-
pull. Nice. I haven't talked about Mastodon in a minute.
Isn't that a dinosaur?
No, it's. I think it's a prehistoric elephant, isn't it?
I don't fucking know.
Isn't it the type that's the? No, it's something else.
It's a metal band.
It's a Mastodon. But it's like a social media. It's one of those little pop-up social media services that nobody uses.
That
but
everyone's
everybody
already
talked
forgotten
for
about.
half a second.
Because they're like, we're all leaving Twitter because Twitter's doing all these things bad. And they are, but nobody's...
But it's so ingrained in stuff that everybody's like, I'm going to Mastodon. Nobody's here.
Yeah.
It's like Google Plus. Everybody's like, we're going to Google Plus. Nobody's here. Nobody's here.
Well, everybody was there in that they had accounts. They just weren't using it.
Yeah, which is kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
So anyway, what is there any particular platform that you find more useful than the others?
Or less, also. I like hearing about what social media platforms people hate. Because
Because you're full of spite.
because I'm full of spite, but also people usually have like one or two that they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't like using, and that's often interesting.
I like particularly using Instagram just
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I'm a visual person. But the crappy thing about Instagram is that you can't like link anything in the actual actual photo. It was a big link to the bot, and that right there is gonna turn off a lot of people. Like, it's
Yeah.
an extra button I have to click. I think Facebook is really good because of its its a targeting engine. Like, it allows you to put in a certain amount of money to target a certain demographic, certain age range, things like that.
Yeah,
so I
put
think
your
that's
post
really
in.
useful. You just have to sort of figure out where it is that you fall to get the maximum coverage of your material.
I just find it really uncomfortable that it keeps defaulting to rubles now.
Wah, wah.
Are you also under investigation by Robert Mueller?
Yeah,
I
4
cannot
miles.
comment on that. Anyway, yeah, no, the targeting on Facebook can be pretty powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because if you're not boosting posts, it's kind of useless. But if you are boosting, if you cross that line and you're like, yes, I'm going to throw money at you, then you can reach an audience. It's sad because you used to be able to reach an audience without doing that on Facebook, and they were like, no more of this. Like,
No, it's not lucrative enough.
no. But Instagram, they do that on purpose on Instagram, not letting you. And I get it. They don't want people primarily using Instagram to promote stuff unless they're paying and doing sponsored posts. So so it works. I get that it helps keep the quality of people's feed like a bit less spammy. Because it's one thing, if you follow a filmmaker, you want to see about their films. You're not going to be upset if they're like linking to their film. But that, you could be following someone who's like, and also here's my mixtape, and also here's my like pyramid scheme with dietary supplements, and also here's, my book that I self-published, and I understand that it could make for a less pleasant and personal.
You said you'd read my book, Nicole.
I know. I'm not buying those supplements though.
Okay,
You
I
can't
have a
make me
whole
do
box
it.
set aside just for you.
It's
10% off the first half of the box.
You're gonna have to give them to Emma. I'm sorry. Emma's Sean's cat.
Dietary supplements. Yeah, unless Facebook's got that going on.
Twitter though, how you feel about Twitter?
I think Twitter's great. But Twitter's also, I feel like Twitter's now associated, unfortunately, with our commander-in-chief. Which,
there's that.
It's true.
And they're not Twitter as a company isn't helping matters much. To like, I
no,
understand.
they added the 280 characters now, right?
So he can just keep going.
You can just keep rambling on.
No more embarrassing getting cut off because he doesn't really know how to use the format, even though it's his preferred format for communication.
I mean, but it is what got him that Time Person of the Year cover that he decided that he didn't want now.
And that Time said that never happened.
That was an amazing moment in history that I'm like, wow, Time like directly responded to this and is on Twitter and is like, nope, you're lying, President of the United States.
What I find fun is reading his tweets and imagining that it is a 14-year-old girl in a bad TV movie talking to somebody named like Samantha or something like that. Like not an actual teenage girl, but like one that you would see in a bad TV movie where it's like, oh my God, like Brad like totally called me like last night and he was like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe asking you to go to like the prom with me. And I was like, look, pass, because like thinking about maybe possibly taking me to the prom, please. Okay, so Brad's dead. Shut up, Samantha.
He's some of the things that he does and says is just incredible. This is just, there's no other word for it now. It's not like flabbergasting or ludicrous. It's just incredible.
Incredible is a good word for it. It stays true. Like, it's not surprising anymore.
No,
but
it's like
it's still incredible.
Like he's at least he's consistent, you know.
Consistently like what the.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we'd all be thrown off if he tweeted something rational and like.
Well, then we'd know that it was somebody on his staff. You could just check and see like what kind of.
But even
phone it
his
was
staff
from.
doesn't even have control over his account. You would think they dupe the account on like 2 phones and like. But
And just be like delete.
No.
But occasionally somebody else tweets for him. They're still not tweeting competently, but it's slightly more competently.
He also has 2 accounts. He has the POTUS account and he has his regular Donald Trump account.
Right, because he's like, oh fuck this! I can't just have like the official presidential account. I need the real Donald Trump or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So where he can be real and cut loose and tell it like it is, so people can get his unfiltered lies, without having to pretend to have any level of decorum or professionalism or.
What if they're not lies and he actually like has like a view into an alternate universe where all this stuff actually happens?
Possible.
It's
Like-
very
like-
possible. Like Fringe.
Yeah, like Fringe. Like he's just confused. Like he's like, no, this is what happened. This is what happened, but it actually happened.
Trump
in the universe.
University is a credible university.
It is the
There's
Berenstein Bears.
Yeah. Is he in Berenstain or Berenstein?
Is it Kazam or Shazam?
Which
The
one?
Shaq movie, the Shaq Genie movie. A lot of people think that there was a Shaq Genie movie called Shazam, but there
They're
wasn't.
just confused. It's Kazam.
I know,
Shaq
but
was
there.
in a movie?
Oh yeah. He
In
sure
the
was.
90s, he was in a lot of movies.
But yeah, but some people are like, no. When I was a kid, I saw a film. It was called Shazam.
I think it's because just Shazam is such
Yeah,
a
we all
well-used
can,
word.
if we want, like, come up with a rational explanation for this, or we could decide that there's an alternate dimension or universe in
What
which
if-
there was a movie called Shazam.
What if
Why
Shaq
do you hate
was
fun,
in a
Sean?
Shazam movie about the DC Comics character where, it's about a little boy who transforms into an adult superhero man? And then what if that was it, as opposed to starring in Steel, the Superman spinoff about the guy who basically becomes Iron Man to replace Superman?
So now we're in the Sean just talks about comic stuff he knows.
Yeah, random shit.
All right, cool.
What? I'm making connections here. I'm trying to figure out what that alternate universe is.
Great. This is important work. Keep at
that's
it.
It all comes together.
Cool.
Yeah. So you did a crowdfunding campaign for Invaders, as we mentioned. Is that typically how you fund projects, or do you like fund them out of pocket, rob banks? How do you make shit happen?
If I can interject, that was a Seed and Spark campaign, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So, and our listeners probably are familiar with Seed and Spark. It's it's not Kickstarter. It has some specific functionalities, and if any of that was of interest to you, people being able to donate or loan gear instead rather than giving money and have it count towards your total. They've got the thing where you only have to reach 80% of your goal in order to get what they call a green light, and then thus you'll get whatever money you raise. Did I explain that in a way that made sense, Sean?
Yes.
Well, listeners, if you disagree, feel free to write in.
Yeah, they can also just look at Seed and Sparkle. Tell them all about what they are.
Okay, I'm just trying to set the framework so our guest can talk about his choice to use Seed and Spark. And
Okay.
yeah, so I'm sure I confused the question with that little digression.
So Seed and
but-
Spark, you used it.
Used it?
Yes.
How was that?
Yes. For this particular project, for pre-production and production, I used my own money.
Okay.
And then I won the Golden Whiskers, and they had, I think, something like $200 that goes to your next project or whatever on Seed and Spark. So I thought, use that, build an audience for the film, and also use the money that we would crowdsource to also get the film out there, because there's a lot of things that Blu-rays, festival submissions, as we mentioned earlier, can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of the places also are not in New York City. So, if we have to fly out somewhere or, take a train or whatever, that the money can go to that as well. So we can go out and represent the film to its full capacity. But I had used Seed and Spark before. I didn't use it effectively last time, so I wanted to sort of redeem myself and use it more effectively. And I think it's a great platform. I think it's a platform made by filmmakers for filmmakers. And yeah,
So you said you didn't use it effectively before. I would like to hear about what you did wrong and what you learned from it.
not being consistently engaged with the audience.
Okay.
Right now, we're sort of in a lull because we're sort of in the middle of submissions. But once we pick up steam, we'll be very active with our community.
So you mean like during the campaign you weren't keeping in touch with people, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can sort of be a turnoff for a lot of people who are trying to, support your potential future sponsors and things like that. They want to see progression, and we weren't very engaged in that sense.
And they want to feel personally connected.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole crowdfunding thing, is like, I am a part of making this film.
Right.
Not like I'm giving you money so you go off and do it. It's like they want to see those updates.
Right. They want
and,
to see
like-
some accountability that
Yeah.
you are actually taking what they've given you and actually made something or pushing it, and
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is fair, because I mean there's so many people also who've raised money through a crowdfunding campaign and then don't deliver and just
Right.
disappear, and that gives those of us who try to actually deliver on our promises a bad name, and they kind of need to see like, look, no, I'm actually doing it. You don't have to
Yeah.
trust me. I'll prove it to you.
right.
Yeah. So
So yeah, so this time around we're trying to very much be engaged with our audience and keep them up to date as things come along. Right now, like I said, we're in a lull, but once everything starts kicking in, it's just we're gonna be reaching out a lot more.
That's good. And it's hard though, because when you're trying to like do your project, it's another task to do. It's time consuming. Even if it's enjoyable, it's still like to do it well. Like it takes time. It takes creativity. It takes energy.
It's a different type of creativity.
Yeah.
It's more like I hate to say it like this, but it's more like how can you tap into someone's brain and not your own brain? Because I feel like when you're doing your own projects, you're trying to understand yourself and what it is that you're trying to say and how to say it. This one, you're trying to understand how do people understand information and how do I get it to them and keep them engaged with the content that you're producing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different kind of promotional advertising-ish creativity, you know, as opposed to like making a film or writing a novel or whatever. It's then doing it's doing one of the forms of commercials for that thing. Yeah.
You have to sort of market yourself, and I know every artist hates marketing themselves.
But it's necessary. It sucks, but it's necessary.
Some people really like marketing themselves and then tell people they're an artist. There's those people out there.
That's true. There are those people out there.
I envy them.
The other piece. What's that?
I envy them. So it's just
Yeah, every once in a while you're just like, you know what? I would rather be a shitty artist and like be good at marketing.
Yeah, some people can really sell themselves, even though perhaps their art does not, warrant that kind of attention.
And some of those people, they go far.
Yeah,
Exactly.
They go far.
They may direct an X-Men film, for example.
Which one?
Just the third one. Actually, I'm gonna just stay with that. Just the third one.
I'm sure there's a ton of movies that we can all name of people that didn't deserve to do it.
Oh yeah.
And probably disagree on some of them. Yeah. Because mine is definitely informed by who I like or don't like because I'm a big jerk.
Well, I agree with that.
You definitely do agree with that, which leads me into my next question.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Do you want to play a game?
Yes.
Yes, let's do this.
You want to play a game? All right. So,
that was kind of like Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want
to play a game?
Oh, even more than you know. It's like.
It's very much like Jigsaw. Little does anybody know that I do sneak into our guests' homes in the middle of the night before.
You're not supposed to tell them this yet.
I do bury a key somewhere on their body.
Somewhere on their body or in their body?
It depends on how motivated I am that day. So sometimes the key just might be in your other pants. So, but it is the season, pie season.
It is pie
A lot of people
season.
have pies. For here in the United States, we just had our questionable holiday Thanksgiving, and other winter holidays also have pies involved or some form of filling surrounded by pastry involved. So we're gonna do some pie trivia. Question 1. In the Neolithic era, the Egyptians developed an early type of pie filled with honey called A, a roquette, B, a honey cake, C, a galette, or D, Ra's crown.
Guests can go first.
You're just like, I'm embarrassed by this question.
I mean, I know what I'm gonna guess, but
What do you think?
I'm gonna go with C. It's helped me in the past when I used to take tests and I didn't know the answer.
Just go with C, a galette.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with honey cake.
You're gonna go with a honey cake.
Yes.
B,
Yes.
a honey cake.
Bees make honey. That was nice.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
See,
think
look
of
what you
that. I
did there
didn't think
without
of
even.
that. I'm sorry. The correct answer is C, a galette.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. So, question 2. In what century do we find the first reference to pie in the Oxford English Dictionary? Was it A, the 12th century, B, 9th century, C, 18th century, or D, 14th century?
Pie. 18th century. I would go with. I'll go with 18th century.
I'm gonna go with 14th century.
You're going to go with 14th century. The correct answer is 14th century.
Yes.
Man.
So, I actually did not like it. Did not register in my head that the Oxford English Dictionary was that old. I don't know why. I don't know how old it is, but I was just like, oh, 14th century,
Yeah.
huh.
Well, I guess we all learned something today.
So the last question: what film has the first instance of a comedian being struck in the face with a pie? Was it A, Mr. Flip, B, That Ragtime Band, C, A Noise from the Deep, or D, Behind the Screen?
I'll go with D.
D, Behind the Screen.
What was the first one?
Mr. Flip.
I'm going to go with Mr. Flip. Why not? Seems like Mr. Flip would get hit by a pie.
And the correct answer is Mr. Flip. All of those are actual films with people getting hit in the face with a pie.
Great.
Yeah.
I can add these to my queue of classic films to catch up on.
I was just gonna add them to like random knowledge that you like tell people.
It's like Mr. Flip, first film that somebody got hit in the face with a pie.
That's actually kind of a good bit of trivia.
How did you go about finding out this?
Wikipedia.
Interesting.
What did you Wikipedia though?
Pie.
But like, yeah, I get that. Oh, you just looked at an entry on pie, and these were various facts.
The first film
Yeah.
to have pie.
Because it like came up like in a cultural section about pie in the face, and I was like, there's a whole Wikipedia article about pie in the face.
Wow.
That Behind the Screen is a Charlie Chaplin one that features the first like pie fight, like people throwing pies at each other.
See, I thought Behind the Screen could have been a Charlie Chaplin film.
There you go.
I'm
Now you know.
embarrassed I didn't know that because I do like my Chaplin.
I don't think I've ever watched a Charlie Chaplin movie.
I have some DVDs I can loan you of some of his early like pre-feature length, some of his shorts.
Yeah, I probably won't watch them. Not because I don't want to, but because I'll sit there and I'll be like,
No, that's
Shit,
fair.
I gotta
You
watch
should
that.
see. You should see though, like if like Film Forum or someplace else is re-showing any of the features, they're really good on the big screen.
I'm sure most of them are on streaming.
Okay, we're streaming
Filmstruck.
them.
Filmstruck, I could do Filmstruck.
Filmstruck, yeah.
I could sign up for another 7 days there.
Do you guys ever wonder why the films always look so fast when you're watching them?
Oh, it's the
I
frame
know
rate,
why.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Because
were shot at
they
what,
had-
15 or 18?
They're shot
Something
like
like
at
that.
12, so then
Oh.
when you ramp them up, they look fast.
So they're double. Interesting.
Yeah.
I could never remember what the actual frame rate was that they shot it at. Also, they're inconsistent too because they actually
Yeah,
had to hand
they
crank
were
'em.
hand cranked,
You're like,
yeah.
So if you had a lazy AC,
Exactly.
faster.
I know a guy who probably would have been that. Anyway, not gonna dive in further with that.
No, let's
but,
not.
Let's. Where can we find you on the internets?
You can visit me at my website, MateoMarquezFilm.com.
Okay.
There it links to all my social media accounts and any new updates I have on future projects and current projects.
Cool.
And other than friending you on Facebook because you need more Facebook friends, Nicole, where can people find us on the internet?
4 Mile Circus, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm Nicole W. Solomon on Twitter and Nicole Whitty. That's NicoleWitte on the Instagram.
Okay, and I'm Uncle Sean.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm not your Uncle Sean. Don't stop tagging me. I am not your Uncle Sean. Stop tagging me in Instagram photos. I am everyone's Uncle Sean. I keep getting tagged in people's photos like, oh, your uncle loves you so much that he made his Instagram name Uncle Sean.
Wait, did their uncle look like you?
No, it never looks like me.
Okay.
And I'm just like, is that is that what you think?
Are you that self-centered that you're like, oh my God, Uncle Sean? Obviously, it's my Uncle Sean.
That is what I think is happening. Anyway, you can find me at Uncle Sean.
Is the tag section on your Instagram just a bunch of random families?
I'll like they'll pop up and at first I would leave them up and then eventually I was just like, I don't want to see this. And so I'd say like, don't show on my profile. And so, but like sometimes I'll get tagged into like Twitter conversations too. Oh, I had such a great time with like Jeff and at Uncle Sean. And I'm like, oh man, this
wish I
would
was
just
there
be
for that
weird for me to insert and be like, I'm not. That's not me.
I have no
it's-
idea what you're talking about.
I've had, not on Instagram, but I've had that with email. We used to have a family listserv that my great uncle Henry, rest in peace, orchestrated. And at
Right.
one point, somebody took my name off the email and they added another like Nicole Whitty Solomon with like a different email address. And at a certain point, she chimed in. She's like, "I don't know any of you." Well, they're like,
She's like, I don't know you guys, but
This family drama is really intriguing.
Yeah, because there was some. The family listserv could get a little heated from time to time. And people were being like, Nicole, don't you have something to say about this? Nicole. And like, I didn't know. I wasn't getting the emails. But this other Nicole was. And she's like, I don't have anything to say. Like,
and then
leave me
later you saw
alone.
them and they're just like, why didn't you have anything to say, Nicole?
Yeah, people were like judging me and stuff for being like, oh, Nicole's not
mean-
weighing in. Maybe she's really mad. Like,
People are always judging you, Nicole.
I know. It's true.
Anyway, so people listening should share the show with people, other people, not people already listening, people who aren't already listening,
Yeah. Tell them how great it is.
and maybe like write a review.
Yeah, it helps us like that actually it helps us reach new people. It helps us get awesome guests like Mateo. So hopefully in the future we will continue to have guests and it won't just be me and Sean, talking about the zombie apocalypse and pet burgers like happened the last time we did an episode.
No, we did before. No, we've done Halloween episodes since then.
You're right, which
But
totally
the pet
different.
burgers,
Totally different.
my
No.
genius
Oh god, I shouldn't have said anything.
idea sticks in your mind because when the end comes, I just watched The Girl with All the Gifts, and I feel like the
Oh.
one thing that's missing from that movie, pet burger stand. Those people would have appreciated some pet burgers.
All right, we can agree to disagree upon that one. And on that note,
Pet burgers. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or your platform of choice. Please visit us at 4milecircus.com to learn about our other projects and services, and be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 4 Mile Circus.